riders coming to the line now for the third leg of the British Championship, fourth round of the British Championship here at Newbury. A nostalgic moment because this in fact represents the last motorcycle event to take place on this land after some 20 years of both solo and sidecar motocross. There you can see the smoke coming out of the exhaust, the riders obviously nervous. They've got 25 minutes plus 2 laps to do, a fairly hectic pace. Kurt Nicoll gave us a stirring display in the last one, having led David Thorpe for the best part of the race in fact, letting the clutch bite there to get rid of the grass off the top and let the wheels dig in. Do you think there's anticipation brewing in this race, Graham?
I think there's every reason why there should be a really good battle, because there's everything to be fought for between Kurt Nicoll and David Thorpe. They really have fought it tooth and nail in the last two and made us anticipate a really exciting final battle for this, the third round. The points are important, but because it's a nostalgic final event as well, I think they want to give everybody a good show. And it's 195 points to Dave Thorpe, 156 to Kurt Nicoll as the barrier goes down for the last time. Who's going to be into that first bend first time? Just look at the power of the Kawasaki's.
Looked like David Watson had the advantage there. He started hard over on the right-hand side. It is indeed number 8. David Watson on the Kawasaki drops into the lead. Scott Gardner, number 11, in second place. But Watson it is heading the field for the third leg here today. Kawasaki's away. Thorpe's bunched in there somewhere. Thorpe fighting his way through. I can see him up on the right-hand side of the picture. But Thorpe didn't get the fly he did in the first leg. Mervyn Anstey's alongside him. Thorpe and Anstey neck and neck. Thorpe's taking the advantage. But it's the number 8 Kawasaki, David Watson, that's taken the early lead. No sign yet of Kurt Nicoll. Now that's a pity because Nicoll needs to be up there.
We were just watching Dave Thorpe going down that hill. There's the number 8 man, the leader. I make unofficially at the moment Dave Thorpe in 5th place, so about the same place he started in the second leg with not too much work to do. Number 11 going by is the second man through, Scott Gardner, you mentioned. Number 32, that of course is Tony Craig. And there, the number 10 man, we were watching earlier on, Andy Nichols, and watching his points being totted up. He's 5th place at the moment. I make him officially on 94 points. There's Kurt Nicoll just going through, and not too happy to be in the middle of a bunch. He must be about 15 places down. Bit of a snarl up there. That should open things up. But Kurt Nicoll will have to work his way through the field now with at least a dozen men to get past. He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, now that's a pity. Nicoll obviously got bunched in at the start. Scott Gardner there, coming out of the trees. Scott Gardner leading the number 32 machine of Tony Craig on the Kawasaki. David Watson leads. Number 8 Kawasaki, David Watson. Number 11 machine of Scott Gardner second. Tony Craig third on the Kawasaki. And now you can see the dust. World champion Thorpe has gone through, Willie Simpson's gone through, Mervyn Anstey's gone through. Tremendous battle. A final rundown on the positions now, Graham, please.
Yes, Mervyn Anstey, you were just talking about, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places down. You were asking about him, and certainly by the time I get to 11th place, is Kurt Nicoll nowhere to be seen, so he's at least 12 or behind that. It really is very disappointing for him at the moment. First place official Dave Watson, second place Scott Gardner, third place the number 32 man Tony Craig, fourth place Andy Nichols, number 10. 5th place and still fighting Dave Thorpe. 6th place the number 18 man, that's Mark Fulton. 7th place number 40, and that is Gary Heaver. 8th place Mervyn Anstey. 9th place the number 37 of Mark Bennett. 10th place number 22 Phil Annam, and the number 6 man of Neil Hudson in 11th place.
An interesting point here, Graham. You and I both made an error in the last one in that we had Tony Craig as having finished in 5th place. Well, of course, with the new system, Tony Craig has been elevated to the higher echelon, as it were, and is now disputing this, the British Championship proper. So, all power to his elbow. He's lying in 3rd place and giving us a tremendous show of riding. And I think it would have been Tim Stowe who would have been the number 43 machine, having finished in 5th place in the last event. However, Tony Craig is alive and breathing and is going very well in 3rd place here. And there's that Kawasaki. In fact, he's taken over 2nd place from Scott Gardner. Now, Gardner's been relegated, so we have Kawasaki's 1st and 2nd. David Watson in the lead, Tony Craig in 2nd place, Scott Gardner in 3rd, Andy Nichols in 4th, almost going over the handlebars there. Nichols in 4th, and David Thorpe still isn't among them yet.
Yes, the reason for that changeover and the promotion was, of course, the absence of Danny Chandler. Danny Magoo Chandler, everybody hoped would be seen here today at the Pirelli, and of course, not being, that promotion gave Tony Craig the promotion to this group. There's the number 5 man that we've been asking you about. Led in the 1st, led in the 2nd, going past the checkered flag position, but some while to go before that happens. And he's in 5th place at the moment.
Now watching David Thorpe, world champion, winner of the first two legs, and now sitting in second place, having stormed up from 5th to second place. He's now splitting the two Kawasaki's. There we see David Watson leading the field, going down the back. David Thorpe in second place. So number 8 leads, number 1 in second, number 32 in third, number 11 in fourth, number 10 in fifth.
This is an unexpected turn up, and we understand, and you can see the flag marshals waving there. They're just around that bend. There's been quite a big spill. It could even be enough to stop the event. We're not quite sure what's happened at the moment. It's just outside of our line. Flag marshals are waving rather frantically there as we see the original battle. Those two men got through before the pile-up.
And now we see Thorpe in pursuit of Watson. Watson away on the Kawasaki. David Thorpe, I suspect, just sitting there watching what's happening. I think he's got enough wick there to turn up if he needs to and gallop past Watson, but he's just holding back. There's still 15 minutes to go in this race, at least. Thorpe sitting comfortably in second. They've opened up a terrific gap now over the third man. But Watson enjoying briefly the lead anyway. He gave us good results in the second leg, certainly. Thorpe jumping downhill towards the wiggle, just missing the fence post, riding high on the banking, putting the power on in pursuit of that Kawasaki.
Not sure whether it cost any of the lead riders the positions that they were holding. Certainly Watson and Thorpe weren't affected by that little turmoil that happened, but certainly it seems to have slowed everybody else down, so we'll have to reconfirm the positions. Again, we asked the question about what happened with Banks. He's not had a good day today. Position 27th at the moment, so the two people we're anguishing over certainly were Watson. He's at first. Number 8 man going through. Thorpe in second place, and now we have to wait for the gap and put the clock on the second to third place man, who's the number 32, so no change in those positions. It hasn't affected, but yes it has. Number 10, Andy Nichols, is now in fourth place, so that's an encouraging move as we're watching Dave Thorpe in second place, still chasing Dave Watson, and Dave will be very pleased to be doing this. It was Kurt Nicoll that was showing Thorpe the way around for so much of the second leg.
Mervyn Anstey up to 5th, in pursuit of Nichols, the number 33 machine of Mervyn Anstey up to 5th. In 6th place, Scott Gardner, number 11. And in 7th place, quite a turn up for the books, the number 18 machine of Mark Fulton. Mark Fulton riding a Mako for Bill Brown of Cumbria, sitting in 6th place at the moment, 7th place, I beg your pardon, and looking quite good. But still no sign of Kurt Nicoll. Kurt Nicoll, who finished second in the first leg, led the second leg, only to finish second at the end of the day, is obviously on his way, but he hasn't shown on the leaderboard yet. We're now back with Tony Cave.
I've been watching some of the back markers just for a moment there, Barry, and still Kurt Nicoll down in about 12th or 13th position. The man we ought to be looking at as well at some point is Willie Simpson, the number 5 man, who seems to be picking his way through the pack at the moment, not bothered by that skirmish. So things are happening way down, and maybe Kurt Nicoll has time yet to make his way through the pack. Certainly not the advantage that he gained last time. That start was a very bad one for him, and it's cost him dearly.
Back now with Andy Nichols. Popular local rider from just down the road, this side of Basingstoke. Was a very, very impressive rider on Kawasaki's. Probably gained the altitude record at the old Streatley track. Cleared the tabletop with ease. On the Yamaha, hasn't really shone since putting his leg over it, but nevertheless, still riding fairly well in this race. There's Mervyn Anstey. Anstey's after Nichols.
And officially give him 99 points at the moment with the second leg over, and that puts him currently in 4th position in the championships. He won't be unhappy with that at all, and wanting to put maximum points on. Certainly in 4th place he can gain an extra 13. Look at the battle that's going on here. Look, Watson and Thorpe really fighting it out. Now Thorpe's worked out the lines that Watson's taking. They're very, very similar. We were watching earlier on to see which lines they took. Watson takes the inside, so does Thorpe. Watson takes the outside, so does Thorpe. Following each other line for line. Now Thorpe's been working out which is the best line on all of these. They've had 1.5 complete circuits where he's been this close, a chance for him to see and work out which way round he's going to go. Where's he going to use it? In the last 2 legs he's been using those jumps to very, very good advantage, Barry. I suspect he might do the same this time.
He takes the left-hand line along this straight. Watson, as I said, has been going up the middle. Now here's Thorpe, almost neck and neck as they go off the second one. That Honda is very, very quick indeed. When he turns the wick up, it really goes. There's Watson riding very coolly, keeping his cool, even though he's coming under pressure from the new world champion. But I do suspect that David's just sitting there waiting to see what's going to happen. I think he's got a little bit in reserve. Alongside Watson, neck and neck as they go down, and Thorpe almost slips through, shows his front wheel. He could have taken it there if he'd wanted. Watson off the jump. Watson and Thorpe, this is the battle.
The same thing has happened again, Barry, because of this battle that's going on between Watson and Thorpe. Watson not giving way. It's opened them up from the rest of the pack, and there are other fights going on as Thorpe tries to push through on the inside. Will he do it this time? No.
Now, Dave Watson has the correct line, except Thorpe slipped through, almost hit the post, very nearly. Watson's back again. That was a close one for David Thorpe, nearly overcooked it.
I think Thorpe's elbow actually hit the top of that pole. It seemed to pull him round slightly.
So there we are. Thorpe is back in the lead, the old familiar pattern. Looks rather like he's out for 3 wins today. David Watson still hasn't given up, but he's up against a very fierce opponent, and he knows him well. Watson now following in the dust of Thorpe. Thorpe away round the banking. And there you can see the rigours of the suspension as they land the full 13 inches of travel being pushed to the limit there. As the Kawasaki jumped sideways, Thorpe now coming down towards his post. You can see how he locks the back wheel up, back brake hard on, almost sideways into the post, slewed it round at the last minute. That was a very close call for David Thorpe. Watson saw the hole, opened the throttle. Thorpe looked over his shoulder. Watson pushing hard, but Thorpe already has the power back on. Recovered in a split second from what was almost a terminal spill. And they're away again.
Confirmation of the position so far then, with David Thorpe in first place. It's the number 8 man having snatched his position. Dave Watson now back in second place. Third is Andy Nichols, number 10. Fourth, the number 32 man Tony Kaye, promoted for this event. Number 33 is in next place, and of course that's Mervyn Anstey. Behind him comes Rob Andrews, number 18 Mark Fulton, and following him number 40, that's Gary Heaver. We're looking way down the list for people like Willie Simpson. Kurt Nichols still nowhere to be seen in those first 12 men.
David Watson soldiering on his way now behind David Thorpe. Thorpe's already gone. There's a little puff of dust where Thorpe's rear wheel once was. Watson on the Kawasaki. There's Thorpe back to that infamous post again. That poses a very tricky problem for the riders, having to negotiate that tight chicane. The way up that very fast climb. It's a right-hander, then a left-hander before they drop down into the woods in the finish.
Mervyn Anstey seems to be holding his position in the 5th place, fighting Tony Kaye to get 4th place position from him, but Tony not relinquishing that. The gap is opening quite dramatically. There must be about 10 seconds between these two first men. Thorpe opening his own gap now between Watson. He goes past our commentary point. 3 seconds between the first 2 men, but just look at the gap.
I can't help wondering where Kurt Nicoll is and what sort of progress he's making through the field, because he's led the second race for a long time, so he's capable of very high speeds around this Fox and Hound circuit, and I can't believe that he'll be languishing down the ranks for much longer. I'm waiting for the number 4 plate to appear in the first 6 to tell us that Kurt Nicoll has arrived. It could be that he has a mechanical problem, who knows, but he's certainly not making his impression now. There's Andy Nichols. You can see how they're spread out now. Andy Nichols on his Yamaha. Under no threat really from anyone in particular, quite on his own, having a very lonely race now. And there's the number 32 Kawasaki, Tony Kaye. Mervyn Anstey coming up with him now. Mervyn Anstey and Tony Kaye locked in a battle now.
I have to tell you that I'm afraid that Kurt Nicoll is in 20th position, falling back down the field. I've just counted them back through as they went, and there must be a major problem there. Oh, we've got an over end from somebody we were just watching through. Tony Kaye has the engine cut out? Yes. Will it start again on the first kick? No. He tries again. Tony Kaye getting it going, a spurt of dirt that shows it's in control again. I didn't see anybody go past him while that little spill occurred, so lost time but no place.
He was locked in the duel with Anstey, so we can bet that Anstey's gone. In fact, it might have been Anstey that caused it. And there we are with Thorpe. Back with Thorpe, on his way to a hat-trick of wins here at the Fox and Hounds. What a way to finish a 20-year-old motocross circuit. I was racing here on this circuit when David Thorpe was 2 years old. How's that for Thorpe, Graham?
I realise you were that old, Barry.
Neither did I.
It is a very nostalgic day today, and I think the spectators who've turned out to not only praise David Thorpe but also to see the man ride will take the memories away for a long time to come. 20 years of superb riding sadly going to be ending, and what a way to end, with the World Championship back in British hands after 5 years. Let's just have a look at that spill again. This is the one where it was Mervyn Anstey who's there in the behind the Kawasaki. Tony Kaye, the man who misjudged it somehow. Was there actually a contact? Kaye coming round, boot leading hard wide. There, left the bike, his back end slews round. What does Anstey do? Keeps well out of the way and says, bye-bye, I'll take 4th place from you, thank you very much. You start your own bike again. No contact, but certainly it cost Tony Kaye the 5th position.
Too much power on there, Graham. Just too eager. He knew that Anstey was breathing down his neck. Just too much wick. Back with Thorpe now. He's got too much wick on, but he can handle it. Look how he's going today. What a fantastic display of riding from the new world champion. I notice his gold leathers aren't in evidence for this third race. Maybe he needed to send them back to be repolished or something. I don't know. But we're back to the navy blues for the third leg.
It does make the rest of them look a little poorer in quality, and there's nothing to be taken away from the rest of the racing that's going on. You are looking at the best of the British riders, and really they are superb. There's the number 4 man we've been asking about, last counted in 20th position, Kurt Nicoll, followed by number 41, Robert Meek. So Kurt Nicoll certainly is not going to be collecting any points in this, the third leg, although his separation from David Thorpe is 156 points to 195. Robert Meek, the man there from the Terry Beckett's bike, the Honda, following through, and my last count, not had time to confirm it, at least 21 I think, and the dust settling from the majority of the pack.
Number 7, Jeff Mays there, soldiering on. Quite surprised to see some of these riders are very high caliber, and yet they're quite a good way down the field. I think it's an indication of the young blood that's coming through. We have several not quite so popular or well-known riders who are really forcing ahead in the first 6 or 7 places here today. And we obviously have a wealth of young talent coming through in British motocross. And this is probably the most talented rider we have at the moment. World champion David Thorpe, away for a hat-trick of wins. Faultless riding.
Not only a hat-trick of wins, I would imagine he wants to make it a hat-trick of British championships too, because of course he took it in 1983, 1984, and this the 4th round. His points well advanced now to make it the 3rd.
Battle here between Gary Heaver and young Mark Banks. Banks alongside. We haven't seen much showing of Mark Banks today. A little disappointing. He's been a very, very forceful rider in British Championships and in 125cc racing this season, but he doesn't seem to be doing very much today. Now, obviously, the circuit doesn't suit him, or he's a little bit off colour. Maybe he's had a dose of flu or something, who knows. Neil Hudson, number 6. Likewise, Hudson had a good ride in the first leg, did very little in the second. Former 250cc world champion Neil Hudson. He's leading that battle involving Mark Banks, in actual fact. So we have a gaggle of Hondas there, all locked together in mortal combat.
I think Banks in 7th or 8th position. Just a little bit confused. He's about 4 places behind that number 6 man, Neil Hudson, who I think unofficially I place him in about 6th place at the moment. Been keeping an eye on the tail enders, but certainly Banks has been picking his way through the field very effectively. And let's not take anything away from Neil Hudson, who's been riding very well today. Neil Hudson won't be disappointed with his achievements.
Heading up now towards the double jump. Number 23 machine there of Kaye. Kaye's obviously got himself back on form.
I've had official confirmation on Mark Banks, by the way, Barry. He's in 10th place, so he is working his way through the field.
Rob Andrews having the ball, not Tony Kaye. That's the 23 machine of Rob Andrews, who gave us a very good result in the second race. Kawasaki's much in evidence now. Alec Wright should be rubbing his hands. He's got his number 8 machine of David Watson sitting there in second place. And that the green machine is very, very evident and unmistakable as they force on their way. We have Rob Hooper on a Kawasaki, we have Jeff Mays on a Kawasaki, Tony Kaye, Rob Andrews are watching now. And here we are now watching the number 31 machine of Richard Dye. Richard Dye entered on a Yamaha. That looks suspiciously like a Honda to me. But 31 it is, and Richard Dye it is. You can see how the course is dug up now. Quite deep bumps. A lot of the dust has gone. There's 1 or 2 dusty sections still, but the majority of the dust seems to have blown off the top surface. And there is Richard Dye, bumping his way round. He'll be glad to get his 60, 70 minutes of racing over. David Watson, number 8, sitting still in second place. The world champion David Thorpe has gone in the lead. There you can just see the dust off the jump. Dust which David Thorpe left for Watson to negotiate. A very good ride so far for David Watson. Let's hope he sticks with it and finishes second.
Talking about Richard Dye, and there's a little bit of a fight going there because Andy Nichols is chasing him and it's Mervyn Anstey just behind, so another battle there as we're watching the second man, number 8, and David Watson having to be satisfied with second position. No shame in that, 17 points. Having led Thorpe for so long, perhaps he'd have hoped to stay out further, but Thorpe really has a masterful control in it. There's Mark Banks picking his way through. The last position we had was 10th place for this lad that we'd hoped more for today. 4th place overall in the championship, but not adding too many points. 99 I make him unofficially at the moment, with a 10th place in the last leg.
Mark Banks chasing Hudson there. So we have a battle on our hands now between Hudson, number 6, and Mark Banks, son of John Banks, 17 years of age from Bury St Edmunds. Neil Hudson from the West Country, former 250cc world champion, Honda Works rider. So we have 2 Hondas locked in battle here. Banks versus Hudson, and that's the battle as you see it. Off across the corrugations, down the back straight they go. Hudson into the right-hander. Banks is catching him visibly now as they carry on their way in this third leg.
Hudson looking over his shoulder at Banks there. He had a very good first round. He was 3rd in the first leg in this, the 4th round, but he only came 13th in the last leg, so he's got a lot of making up to do. I put him unofficially on 60 points, and certainly he won't be pleased with that as the battle hots up, and through he goes. Yes, Banks is through and has moved into 5th place now, and Hudson really not having the sort of day we'd have expected of him. 13th last, now slipping to 6th.
Banks went past incredibly easily. I was amazed that Hudson sort of left the door open for him like that, but Banks just slipped through effortlessly, in fact. And if, as you say, he's now sitting in 5th place, that's by far the best result for Mark Banks today. Past Hudson he is, and presumably now he's in pursuit of Andy Nichols.
I've not checked because we seem to have had a couple of small battles, so I may be giving him more credit than he's due just at the moment. We had an unofficial line that he was 7th fighting 6th position. Certainly he did put Hudson back very quickly indeed. Hudson doesn't seem to have had a good second leg. As I said, he only finished 13th.
This is Mark Banks on the almost clipped the chestnut paling, hit a bump there which kicked the front wheel out, the back wheel followed suit. Banks was nearly in the fence but negotiated it safely. He's still on his way now, regained his composure,